Let's discuss Andy Signore and his channel Popcorn Planet. On his channel, not his channel, on my Twitter profile, I have a thread pinned to the top. And that's what I'm going to go off. Let's discuss Andy Signore and his channel Popcorn Planet. So, Andy Signore has amassed a fairly large community due to his Free Britney and/or Gabby Petito coverage. Andy Signore regards the community as his. Some were told that they had no right to become friends with said community. I know this sounds nonsensical. It sounds nonsensical to me, but this is my experience with it. I found Popcorn Planet because of the Gabby Petito story. I went to YouTube mostly to watch Jeannie Robertson. She's really, really funny. And some true crime caught my attention. Old cold cases that were being solved with new technology. I have an ancient biology degree with an interest in genetics, and that's pretty much what they were using to solve these cases. So I found it fascinating. And then the whole Gabby Petito thing hit me in the feels. And I couldn't find much information in mainstream media. So I started checking YouTube. And I checked a couple of channels out before I decided on Popcorn Planet. I was impressed by the whole thing. I really thought he was genuinely empathetic to Gabby, to what was going on. I didn't become a member right away. I actually joined Steph the Alternerd's channel first. And I went back and I joined Popcorn Planet. And then finally I joined their Telegram group, which the last I saw, which was a couple months ago, about 400 people strong. And I made friends there. And it's that community that I always have been and always will be concerned about, that I will always stand up for. Okay, so the next part of my thread. Okay, so the community is his. We couldn't become friends with anybody in the community, apparently, which makes no sense, because Andy always said, we should follow each other on social media and, help support each other. But what Andy says and what he actually promotes, I think, are two different things. Anyway, so he said, you cannot own people, nor can you dictate their interactions, no matter how hard you try. People have a right to their feelings and to speak to them. And those feelings I have dumped into my blog, which is browneyedlark.com. I will put it in the description box or pin it at the top of the comments, because I have no idea what I'm doing right now. Now, the reason why I had feelings is because on February 13th, the community was imploded by somebody who took screenshots and private chats and shared them with Andy, Steph, and Andy's buddy, Louis Lecca of Nerd Report. These comments were cherry picked. They were meant to create discord and discontent. I really don't understand the reasoning behind. The person that did it, she just wanted them to know the quote truth, um, which it wasn't. It wasn't the truth. I don't know if she was just jealous because none of us really knew who she was. Kind of saw her name in chat a few times, but we didn't know who she was. So before I get into what happened on the 13th, I have a few other things that I would like to point out. Um, Sorry, my back hurts. I joined Popcorn Planet, I don't know, last September. I joined Stuff the Alternate shortly thereafter. No, reverse that. I found Popcorn Planet first, and Stuff the Alternate channel. And she made me a moderator. Last November? Beginning of December? I'm not sure. It was right before she had to take off to Italy for family stuff. She wrenched me and one other person, and we panicked because we had no idea how to moderate. We didn't know what was expected of us. And one of Andy's senior mods at the time offered to help us out. And, well, we're now friends. I'm also friends with my former co-host on Stuff the Alternate. And then I was made, see, I can't remember. Andy has a headlines group. And those people in that group, they find headlines, put it all nice and neatly into a document so we can find everything for his daily live streams. And there was also a headline chat so that we wouldn't, it's just to keep the talking about the headlines and the actual headlines themselves separate. Now, when I joined the headlines group, I did not know that I was replacing people that had sort of faded away or into the background. Because he somehow creates a sort of, I don't know if it's a cult, where you just don't question, like, what happened to so-and-so and what happened to so-and-so? How come they're not still doing this? It's just, the way I was sucked in, now that I look back on it, I feel like a complete idiot. But he's very good at what he does, so it's not my fault. I apologize for smoking on screen. This is very difficult for me. Sorry, I'm sharing this clunky, I have know what I'm doing stream with some friends. Anyhow, Now, part of becoming and wanting to be in the headlines group wasn't just to help Andy curate stories. It was also because we were promised to get a look at the back end of YouTube, how to create thumbnails, catchy titles, you know, how to look for these headlines, and just all sorts of stuff, which never happened, at least not while I was there. Now, those of us that were in headlines, no, wait, scratch that. Let me put this a different way. Not all people in headlines are mods and vice versa. Andy did not give me a wrench until like the week before Christmas. He was taking that week off, I guess to spend with his family. Steph took over as a host, and I panicked even more because Popcorn Planet is has a much larger audience. And again, I went to the mod that helped me out before. I was given a wrench with two other people, and I said, maybe we could create a new mods group. Now, there is a Telegram chat for senior mods, and I was nowhere close to a senior mod. And this wonderful woman said, sure. And so we had our new mods help group, and we were taught the rules that you respect hosts, you respect guests, and you're supposed to respect each other in chat. We had a whole list of links that we were supposed to share throughout the stream. And like I said, these were my first ever modding. I didn't know what other moderators did in other live streams. I didn't know that they didn't push all the time to give tips, to send money to Andy and to his co-host. Now, to his credit, whenever he has guests on, the mods will always share a link to their channel or whatever they happen to have. But the whole pushing for, you know, he never pushes for super chats because YouTube takes a fairly large percentage out. 30%, 40%, I'm not sure. One is for super chats and one is for memberships because YouTube takes their cut of those too. But he shares his Stream Elements, his PayPal, his Cash App, and he encourages you to use those because much less is taken out. And, well, either much less or none, so he gets a larger percent. And then when we had questions about things we didn't understand, I would go to our little new mods help group and we would discuss what to do. And I mean, it was extremely helpful because when you make somebody a moderator and you create classes, I mean, we had to basically, quote, prove ourselves in order to get moved to the senior mods group. Now, in order to become a moderator, the current moderators sort of take note of who's being helpful in chat and all of that. I guess I had been helpful enough that they decided to bestow a wrench upon me. And that part I will talk about a little bit later. Okay, so let's I think I have covered enough. So let's fast forward to February 13th. Okay, almost to February 13th. some of the mods have their own channels. Um, and we sometimes shared links to them, especially if they, called in and were on the channel. Now, one of those mods is the Juan Show, or Juan, and his channel is called The Ravens Flock. And he has been on YouTube for 10 years, and at the time had less than 600 subscribers. Um, a couple of other mods had also created their own channel called The Witchy Women. If you have not found them, I would suggest you do so. Although right now I think that channel is sort of in limbo, and I will touch on that in a little bit. Now, Andy said that he would not promote the Witchy Women. Although Steph the Alterner did, she was very enthusiastic about helping them. She sent people over to get their channel up to over 100 members so that they could name their channel. It wasn't just a string of letters and numbers. And just as a little side note, because I forgot to mention it, now Andy has a chat on Telegram that is his community. Lewis has his own for Nerd Report, and Steph resisted for a very long time opening up her own chat there. And from my understanding, it was pretty short-lived. So back to the matter at hand. Andy wouldn't promote it, but he said that the mods could occasionally share links to it. So you have the Ravens flock, who's been around for forever and doesn't have that big of an audience, really. I don't think they have enough to get monetized. I'm not sure how many members you need for that. Maybe 1,000? And then there was the Witchy Women. Sorry, my back is still hurting. So on Sunday, February 13th, Juan was having a subathon for his channel. And I and another person, we were sharing links to the Popcorn Planet Telegram chat, to Nerd Report Telegram chat. We were participating in his stream. This was on a Sunday, which is Steph's usual, or was her usual day, to do sort of a weekly recap live stream. And so when she started, I was kind of bopping back and forth. And she was encouraging people to go over there to get the numbers up. He wanted to hit 600 subs. And once that happened, and everybody celebrated, I went back, because I had posted a couple of times. I had posted links to the Ravens Flock in Nerd Report's channel, in Popcorn Planet, or Nerd Report, Telegram group, and Popcorn Planet. But I found that my links had been deleted. And Lewis made this big stink about, from now on, only links from Popcorn Planet, Stuff the Alter Nerd, Nerd Report, and Jody's Corner would be allowed to be posted. Now, Nerd Report's chat is obviously what it sounds. I mean, this channel is supposed to be about nerdy stuff, mostly movies, but there were some video game aficionados, and they had shared links to their Twitch stream a number of times in order to get people to come and, support with them and watch them play. And I guess he must have deleted all of those. I didn't really scroll back through the whole chat. But he said, quote, "We do not have enough time to vet all the links." And I'm like, okay. So links to the Ravens Flock, who was a moderator not only on Popcorn Planet, but Nerd Report and Stuff the Alternate. They're all friends. So that kind of made me go, yeah, what? And then he decided to post a screenshot of a couple of links that were from a Twitch gaming stream, a couple of them. And the person that posted them was one of the witchy women. Now, I think Lewis might have got confused because sometimes he's, I don't know. Um, but they had changed their names to, witchy names. This woman had changed her name to Wanda, and that's what she had posted under a couple of times. That's what she'd shared her links under. And so when I saw that being called out, I was like, what? Wanda is a sweet girl. Why are you, sort of highlighting her as a quote scammer? And I ended up being booted from Nerd Report. I ended up being booted from his Telegram chat because I'd asked a few questions. I was respectful. I didn't call anybody any names. I'm a pretty polite person, but I saw someone being picked on, and I have champion of the underdog tendencies. I stand up for things like that. If somebody's being mean to somebody, I'm gonna say something. Um, but again, I'll usually be polite about it. And I mean, the whole thing was just it was like middle school baloney. It was just I can remember being like 12 and we would have these I hate so and so clubs, and that's what this felt like. And in Steph's short-lived Telegram chat, he said something about being disrespected in other groups, and he put quotes around that, and something about a walkout being staged. And I have never understood that. There are reasons why many of us ended up not being as enthusiastic about, participating in Lewis's live streams. And I think I'll probably just go into that at another time. I don't know. I, the level of childishness is just, it's mind boggling. It is mind boggling. So, for about a week, I expressed my discontent without naming names on my blog. That's browneyedlark.com. And I was trying to, you see, I didn't understand why all this was happening, you know, to a community of abuse and violence survivors, people who have been, they've been abused in all sorts of ways. They have addiction issues. It's just, I wanted to protect them, and I didn't know how. And so the first person that I talked to regarding this was the head mod of mods. His name is Will. If you go to their streams, you will probably see him there. If you're a member of their Telegram group, Popcorn Planet's Telegram group, you'll probably see him there. I don't know if Lewis still has a Telegram group, but if he does, Will's probably there too. And I contacted him because I had seen that he had directed a comment toward me and I wasn't able to answer it before I got booted from Nerd Report's Telegram chat. And so I contacted him via direct message on Telegram. And the conversation was just, we seemed to go around circles. You know, I told him how I felt about all this stuff that was happening, and he would want me to give examples. And I'm like, but you've seen it all happening. Why do I need to give examples? I don't understand. That's not what I said to him. I tried my best to lay everything out for him, and I got nothing but sort of a runaround in return. And I just gave up. And then I drafted an email to Andy and to Steph to lay out basically what I'd laid out to Will, but it was in a much more comprehensive manner. And when I felt like I was sort of being edged out, and basically you sort of at people in Telegram and they usually respond to you if they're around, and people were not responding to me. People high up in the hierarchy. Uh, Steph wasn't responding to me. I don't even know if I tried talking to Andy, to be honest with you, because he rarely engages in the chats there. At least that's what I experienced. And so when I finally had enough of that, what felt like being ignored, I sent the email. And when I sent the email, I did get a response back. Both Andy and Steph sent me a DM on Telegram, and we chatted a little bit. But with Andy, he's always befuddled. Like he has no idea what's going on. And then if you try and pin him down, which I did later, well, no, actually, so he contacted me. All right, we'll skip that. So he's like, oh, well, he just he pretends befuddlement, like he just has no clue what's going on. And I pretty much just sort of left it alone after having a little chat with both of them. But the following weekend, during that week, I found out how certain mods, certain people were being treated and had been treated for months leading up to this. I didn't know about any of this. I didn't participate in any of these private groups. One of them, I guess, was the New Year's Eve chat, and that's the one that there were screenshots taken out of context. And there was also something called the Bitch Barn, which I was also not part of. I don't know if screenshots were taken from there. I wouldn't be surprised if they were. And that's how the witchy women came up with their name, because they couldn't use, bitchy women. So, I don't know if people just didn't want to confide in me, or they thought I had better things to do because I have my blog. But I have no ill will or animosity for being left out of all that, to be honest with you. But that whole week, the 13th through the 20th of February, I kept learning more and more, and it was more and more dismaying and more upsetting. And so over that next weekend, I finally I blew up, because I had been expressing myself on my blog, which is under the dark side tab on my website. But I wasn't naming any names. I was simply talking about how I felt and what I saw, what I observed. my perspective, my opinion, but I blew up. I blew up on Twitter. I tagged Andy, and so Monday, when he finally got online, he contacted me and he started yelling. And I engaged with him for a little bit, but then I was like, you know what? I'm not dealing with this. I mean, I'm old, you know. It's it's just mind-boggling. So, and I had actually made a few kind of pointed remarks in the Popcorn Planet Telegram chat. And before I left, I remember Andy said something about, we have been talking for months, he said in there, in the Telegram chat. And, you know, he didn't know why I was so upset, blah, 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 blah. We hadn't been talking for months, Andy. We talked once when I gave you my quote credentials to get into the headlines group. I had to prove I was a real person. We talked once over a certain live stream that I had questions about. And again, that one he pretended befuddlement and it went nowhere. The third time was after I emailed him. That's it. Three. Three times. Not for months. Three times. So the upshot of all of that is that, you know, I quit all the channels. I'm sure that I'm no longer a mod. And, you know, I'm fine with that. I'm happy about it, actually. I have not gone back to any of their live streams or watched their videos. You know, I'm done. But things do get shared with me because I made friends, even though you said we had no right to. Sorry, you can't dictate that. You cannot dictate that. Oh man. All right. So when it wasn't just me that left, there were a handful of people. There were some mods. Some left immediately. Some kind of quietly backed out because they didn't want to invite vitriol. Anyway, so on to my truth bomb thread again. I am not a quote crazy, bullying, power hungry clout chaser because that's how he describes us. Now, I mean, honestly, I might be a little crazy. I'm allowed to at my age. Actually, anybody's allowed to at any age. I'm certainly not a bully, and I'm not power hungry, and I don't chase clout. I mean, what kind of power do you think that you have? What kind of clout do you think you have? I know you have a large community. I know there are other YouTubers that I actually enjoy watching that have no idea what kind of person you are, Andy. And until now, I've pretty much kept quiet about it. So, you know, here's this. I am not doing that anymore. I am not going to do that anymore because I've seen too much. I know too much. Things have been shared with me. So, but I want to reassure the community I left behind that I have nothing but respect, gratitude, and love for you. There were some amazing things that we shared. We shared that incredible live stream, the charity live stream where we raised $47,000. I'm sure Andy thinks he raised it. What if that's still pinned to his Twitter profile? I wouldn't know because the coward blocked me. Anyway, I worry about said community, which is filled with, well, I already said that. So Andy and his cohort simply see this community as sources of money. Yep, you heard me. Dollar signs. Dollar, dollar, dollar. And he promotes an us against them mentality. And what I mean by that is that if if you watch somebody that he has had a beef with or you talk to them, he gets he gets irate. You know, he doesn't like it if you talk to one of his quote enemies or whatever. Actually, neither does Lewis. I don't understand. Certain members do most of the work for him without any real expectation of praise nor monetary compensation. Now, by this I mean the headlines group. You know, when I first got there, I did bust my butt to find headlines. I helped add them to the document that we curated every day in order to give him talking points. It started out with what we considered the most uh, important topic of the day. And then we would have like come on, Laura, think anything that we had talked about previously or there were videos made about previously was in the next section, and then it went on from there. And so every weekday morning he would come in and he would say, you know, basically, uh, what do we have for today? And we would pitch ideas, uh, which I don't think you can't really listen to him. If he had an idea, then it was that's what he wanted to cover, which is fine, you know, it's his channel. But sometimes it would be something that we had absolutely nothing on the document that we worked like 12 hours to curate for him. And so we'd have to scramble to find stuff. And then during the live stream, he would say, you know, headlines group, can you help me find something about this? And all of a sudden we'd be scrambling for that stuff. Now that for me got old very quickly. You know, I stopped. I was like, I mean, and when I became a mod, I would close out Telegram so I could concentrate on being a mod to people. I mean, there'd be like 5,000 people in the chat. And a lot of times I couldn't even pay attention to what was going on, you know, on the screen to what was being talked about. But others were, and they scrambled, they worked, and basically he would just say, thanks guys, and sometimes he'd give credit to the headline group on the channel, but that was about it. And I mean, one time I curated the entire document myself because the other people who usually put links on the page, they were out sick or, you know, had obligations. And I just wanted to put that out there. I'm not expecting praise or anything. But I've been in management. I helped run retail stores. And you always, always, always express extreme gratitude to your employees. Always. And you don't ask them to do anything that you're not willing to do. Otherwise, you know, there's no respect there, you know? So, I lost my point. The cats are staring at me. They want their food. Alright. No real expectation of praise, no monetary compensation. Oh, there was at least one person, maybe more than one person, where he said this may turn into a paid internship, which it never did. So keep that in mind because I'm going to go more into that. Now, you know what? We're going to go into it right now. Yeah, we're going to do it right now. So after some of us left and he sort of changed things up, apparently he now has an a producer's fund. And I think I heard something about also an editor's fund, which he wants his viewers, his subscribers, his members to contribute money to. No, I thought it was on here, but maybe it isn't. Maybe it's someplace else. I did some calculations. At the time I did this, Andy's channel had 250,000 subscribers. And I think I took like 1% of that at the lowest membership, which is $5.99. Now his membership tiers go all the way up to $50 a month. And at $50, you are a quote producer. So you pay to produce. And then you very rarely actually have say because he doesn't listen to most people. Now, once you take out YouTube's percentage of it, I came up with something wild like $40,000 a month. And that's not including ad revenue or super chats or the tips that he's always touting. It's like a 2 drink minimum, people. When his, you know, when he looked at the analytics and he found out that a video was being suppressed, he'd say things like, "I have to keep the lights on, guys. Give me more money, give me more money." And I'm when my husband is working, he's a plumber welder. He works through the union hall, so he works at various places. His hours are always different. Um, but he makes like $45 an hour, so overtime is just astronomical. And for us, it's a really, really good week if after taxes we have, 25 to 300, sorry, 2,500 to $3,000 a week. I mean, I don't really know because my husband gets the paychecks and then he kind of doles the money out to me, which is why I was kind of hoping that with my blog and this, I might, you know, maybe someday have a little bit of my own income. But I digress. So, if he's making that much a month, I mean, that's more than some people make in a year. I mean, he can afford to pay his people. If he now has a producer's fund that people are expected to contribute to, and I'm not saying that he doesn't put anything into it. He may or may not. I really don't know. But he has a producer's level. So, I made my calculations on the very lowest tier. I don't know how many people he has at the upper tier. It's just, mm, it's ludicrous. He has people doing all the work for him. He won't pay them himself, at least not for all of it. Um, if you ask him questions about all of this, he gets all, "Oh gosh, I don't know," or blah blah blah, or people say bad things about me, or it's. Ugh. So those of you out there that are touting Popcorn Planet, just think about it a little bit. Just think about the way that Andy treats his viewers and his subscribers and his members and even his mods. There's no respect. There's very little support, even if he gives lip service to it. There's no direction. He doesn't seem to have what do they call that? It's a, mission statement. He doesn't have a mission except to make money. He follows the stories. Right now, Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard, that trial is huge. Now, Andy had some videos on it, and I watched them, and it got me interested. But, he's just, I'm sure he's raking in money hand over fist. And yet, before he took off to Vegas for Comic Con and whatever else they're doing, apparently he set up an editor's fund. It just blows my mind. Okay, so let's get to this Twitter thread again. He plays lip service to his claims that he has, quote, changed for the better. And he also claims he's, quote, hugged a cactus. And he has a channel of the same name to assist people with their mental health and other issues. Like he had a sexologist on for Valentine's Day. He expects his mods to do things that they're uncomfortable with, like calling into hugging the cactus and baring their souls in order to encourage other people to do so. He simply doesn't see or refuses to see how detrimental that can be. He doesn't seem to understand that flirting with women is tantamount to cheating on his fiancée. Now, I'm sure I'll get flack about that. There's absolutely no proof that's what he does. This is all hearsay, or worse, it's rumor, innuendo, but there are parts that are very believable. He also doesn't realize the damage he's causing through such actions and many others. I don't think he cares about the damage he's causing. It's his community to do with as he pleases. And that's it. So if you're part of that community, I want you to think about this. This man does not care about you. His mods do not care about you. Well, his senior mods. The mod, I don't think they really care about you. There are so many channels out there where the content creators are very thankful for the viewers that they have, for the subscribers they have, for the members that they have, if they're able to do that. They do their own work. They don't expect you to do it. Honestly, there are way, way better channels out there. So he takes no personal responsibility. Everything else is always someone's fault. This I have had experiences with. The whole kerfluffle with all, Nerd Report and the screenshots being shared, neither he nor Lewis, they do not take responsibilities for their own attitudes, their actions, nothing. It's all somebody else's fault. Poor, poor, pitiful them. Oh, right, here it is, in the vicinity of 40K per month. All right, so, even if, a scream isn't a scream. I suppressed many screams. Even if the stream isn't suppressed, the mods continuously push out and ask for donations and all of that. And like I said, there are so many other channels that you can support that will treat you like you matter, like they care. They listen. Anyway, I know that this has probably not been at all professional. It hasn't. I've probably repeated myself. I've stuttered. I've made funny noises. I have a cat now standing on my keyboard. So if you see weird changes, that's what that was. My cats are hungry. I need to go feed them. I don't know if I'm going to go back and edit this stream or not. I've tried editing. It's difficult. It's very, very difficult. All of this is way beyond my comprehension and my comfort level. I I'm really not comfortable being in front of a camera, um, but I thought it was important that you see me, that you see my face, that people can't say, "Oh, she's hiding. And she's saying all this stuff and none of it's true." Blah 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 blah. Go read my blog. I'll put a link to it down there. I know that some people are they're not big readers. They learn more with audio, visual. So that was the main purpose I wanted to start the channel, was to sort of share some of those blogs. But I really, really wanted to address the elephant I feel is in the room. Um, oh, and I did forget about this. Andy now has, I don't know, he has a new co-host. This co-host has her own channel. Andy pushes it all the time. Last I heard, she had like 2,000 subscribers. And yet he still hangs around with them. And I don't think the dude has gotten up to 650 subscribers. I mean, do you see? Do you see? And then there was another person I saw on this little bit of, it was a video that was shared with me. And the woman that took the screenshots and spread the discontent, who purposely, really tried to destroy the community that I love so much, that I want to protect. I mean, she did this purposefully, and she's now being touted because she's going to have a channel soon. None of it makes any sense to me. I and some of the ladies um, from the Witchy Women and others that have left, we're all concerned about certain people in that community. We've hesitated to reach out because I know that one of the mods reached out. There's so much reaching out going on. When I blew up on Twitter, some people that had been treated badly by Andy in the past on YouTube, that had been involved with his channel, reached out to us. This is a cycle that repeats itself. I mean, if you don't get too involved in it, if you don't, join his community, if you don't end up a moderator, if you don't, join headlines or do work for him, you're probably fairly safe. But if they catch you, and I know he's got little spies out, he will deny that. But some of the things that I have done, which were fairly innocuous, actually completely innocuous, I know got reported back so that they could, giggle at me. I'm sure they're giggling at me now, or they will soon. Why did I start this line of... Oh, now I completely forgot. I forgot what I was saying. Oh, oh, like I said, you're probably safe. And some of you I do miss dearly. But every time I see one of you share a link to Popcorn Planet, I um, it kind of hurts, especially people that sort of have knowledge of what's going on or what went on. One day you may very well find yourself in the same position I found myself in. If you do, reach out to me. I won't be mad. I'm not going to tell anybody, oh, you can't be friends with Popcorn Planet and all that, because that's not who I am. I just be very, very careful, and he really doesn't need his link shared. He doesn't. He makes so much money. He doesn't need you to push his links. He doesn't need you to push his videos or his live streams. He honestly does not. And he probably doesn't even know that you're doing it because he only keeps track of the people that might not say kind things about him. Anyway, I still have to go feed the cats. They're staring at me. Thank you very much for watching. I wish you much peace and love, and I hope you have a wonderful day or night, rest of your weekend. Ciao. Ciao as soon as I uncover the button to stop the stream. Bye.